Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. Now, your host, Ace.
Team type of situation, or or on the flip side, they just have ultimate trust and faith in the guys that they put in place to do those things, and they empower those guys to manage those things. That's where I think Dan Campbell has been extremely successful,
And then
is that
also
he's
same thing about
empowered.
you say for Tomlin too.
Yeah, but
It's
it's like
about
it's
Jims
that.
and Joes, not X's and O's, my friend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But he's empowered Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn and those guys to really run their side of the ball, and he just controls things at the highest level and gives them what the philosophy is.
Right.
Dan Campbell's he's not making a lot of play calls. I can tell that he's not making a lot of the play calls. You know, either on either side of the ball.
Yeah, he's just
He
jumping
let
in to make the
yeah
right decisions at the right time to totally
yeah.
All
adjust.
of his play calls are bite some more kneecaps.
I've taken look.
It's 4th and 3. We're going for it.
It was funny when he first said it, but I knew what he meant when he said it. It was a mentality, it was a culture that he was trying to bring, and it made him. And in the moment, maybe it made him sound like he didn't know what he was talking about, but clearly
No,
he
he
knows
knows
what
what
he's
he's
talking
talking,
about.
and he drinks an
So,
enormous amount of caffeine too, so that also helps. I would
but yeah,
say seriously, the culture that he's trying to put in is the idea of heat culture. It's accountability, which is really the culture of the NFL. You got to be accountable to your team and the other and your coaches, and you got to fight as hard as you can every time you can. Which is why the team went from 3 wins to 9 wins in one season, and then from 9 wins to 15 wins. Literally every season they've been there, they've improved by 7 and then 8 games, which is impressive. It's kind of impossible for them to improve anymore because you only play so many games in a season. But I would
yeah,
say if
well,
they make it to the Super Bowl, even if they don't win, they've achieved their goal because that's where they expect it to be.
well, once you
I
start
do
winning
think they
enough
have a good chance
games,
at winning.
well, and that's the thing, yeah, once you start winning enough games during the regular season, the focus now becomes on your playoffs. It's not on regular season. So to your point, AC, about
Correct.
you can only improve but so much. Once you start winning 12, 13, 14, 15 games in the season and you're winning the division on a regular basis, like if you look at the Chiefs, their ultimate goal is this playoff run, right?
Which is
That's
why
what
they
they
must be
aspire to.
stopped.
Right. That's what they aspire to every season. It's not let's try to figure out how to cobble together another 13 of these wins. Like, or let's see how much better we can be in the regular season. It's
I
no.
think they just wanted to lock down the 1 seed, and it was kind of amazing that they could lose one game they were actually trying to win, and then lose a game they didn't need to win, and somehow they're still the 1 seed. And Detroit had to fight for that 15th win the very last week of the season.
Yeah, well, it's because Minnesota wouldn't get up, wouldn't stop bothering us. That was an interesting wild card weekend, man. That was a very interesting wild card weekend.
Yes, but
Everything
I
on the
did
NFC
know.
side happened as I expected, and everything on the AFC side went completely left.
Oh no, you didn't expect the Ravens to beat down the Steelers because I did.
I well, and I looked
You
at our
didn't expect
picks,
the
right?
Bills to beat the brakes off the Broncos because I did.
I think I looked at our picks, and it wasn't. And then I listened back to our show last week, and
We
I
all
don't know if
took the
you felt the
Bills.
same way. We all took the Bills to win,
Right.
Yeah,
but I
I
I,
took the
I
Bills.
didn't take
I took the Bills to
I
cover.
I didn't take the Bills to cover. That was my thing. Is I felt like the lines, and I feel the same way about it this week too. The lines on these games, on the wild card games, just seemed like they were lopsided to the point where people have been really talking about whether or not Denver really deserved to be in the playoffs, whether or not Green Bay really deserved to be in the playoffs, whether or not there should be a seventh, like we should just get rid of the seventh seed
Oh
altogether
no,
because it hasn't. Well, I mean, the argument in that direction has been that I believe ever since, like I guess over the 4 or 5 years since it's been implemented, 7
5.
seeds are 1-9.
That is correct.
They,
But
they've
that
only
one win
won
was
one game.
glorious. That one win was impressive.
The one win was last year.
That's right.
That was last year with Green Bay beating Dallas. And so it was great. It was great to see. But I mean, if every 10 years, if every 5 years there's a chance that one team is going to win. This is not the NCAA tournament.
That's like saying to get rid of the 8th seed in the NBA. The 8th seed has only won a series twice.
But that's a series. Again, that's a series. Well, hold on, but Ace. But I'm saying
it's the same difference.
No, it's not.
It's like a wild card team winning the World Series.
No,
we should get rid of the wild card.
No. It's not, because it's not the same thing, because it's new. The equivalent would be like the play-in. Like if we got rid of the play-in, which Anthony, I know you've been an opponent of the play-in for a while too. Like the equivalent of this 7 seed thing, because it's relatively new in the NFL.
It's like the first 4.
Yeah, the play-in is
first
BS.
4, the play-in, and the NBA. The
more games is never worse games.
The extra wild card team in Major League Baseball, like all of the leagues have added this extra component to their respective playoff structures, but it hasn't to this point, and especially with the NFL, it hasn't led to better football. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
But it's led to more meaningful games down the stretch, which is really what they care about. They want you to tune in the last 3 weeks of the year to make sure that the 1 and 2 seeds aren't just locked up, and it's like, well, who cares?
Well, I mean, I would argue that week 18 didn't really mean anything for the vast majority of teams. Like there was only maybe like 3 games in week 18 that actually meant anything.
If the Chiefs weren't throwing the game to keep the Bengals out of the playoffs.
You mean when Jaden Daniels decided to sit down and start cheering and help Ace win this the fantasy football thing, because they was not really doing it. It was not really doing anything. It was a waste of a daggone week.
I called my man Magic and I said, "Hey, sit that kid down. I need to rest him this week."
Well, that's to the side. It proves Malik's point right there.
And think about it, man. I don't even have an argument one way or the other. I was just kind of reiterating what I'd heard over the course of the week so far in different, on different.
We all know the reason why that won't happen, though, right? We're not like ridiculous about
money. Of course, it's money.
Yeah, they make more money doing this and then having those same exact games as preseason games. That's why they have less preseason games now.
Yeah,
and more regular season games. It's basically all they did is just shift the preseason games to regular season. That's all it really is in the long run. Nobody shows up to preseason games, or they're going to pay that much for a preseason game.
Well, you have to, because if you're a season ticket holder, you're required to buy the preseason games. That's how it works, and you pay the same price for those tickets.
But you're not going. They're still not getting paid the same.
Yeah, I mean, and the reality also is like this argument is valid until it's not, right? Until a 7 seed comes in, and runs
from
through.
The Bears won the Super Bowl from the 7th seed.
Runs through a playoff.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Like runs through a playoff. It goes through a playoff run because that's the other side of it, right? The Giants. What was that? 2007 or two? Yeah, I think it was 2007 one. They were like 9-7, and they went through the wild card. They played all the 3 wild card games, and they got themselves to the Super Bowl, and then they won the Super Bowl. That was a team that had dealt with injuries, so it's the time when the 7 seed works is like there's
they weren't the first team to do that. The first team to do that was actually the 2000 Ravens.
Right, but there's that perfect scenario, right? That perfect dynamic that I think that they'll look for. And once that happens, then I think people will shut up about it. I think people are talking about it now because of the lopsided nature of those games that we saw, especially the 2-7 matchups, Green Bay and Philly and Denver and Buffalo. And I mean,
well, let me get to the intro real quick. Welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. I'm your host, Ace, and we are here with Malik and Ant.
I still like the way Malik does it because, you sound so boring, Ace.
How dare you? You know what? This is what I get for trying to be a good host. This is what I get.
Yeah, you get the truth.
Nobody,
Hey,
like
man.
Rodney Dangerfield out there. Anyway, continue what you were saying, Malik. Well, I was
No, I
rudely
think
interrupted.
that. No, I think that's really it. I just figured we recap a little bit what happened in the wild card round, and all of the things that we started hearing um, from from all the pundits coming out of there. Um, what do you guys think? Or Ant, I'll start with you. What do you think was like the biggest? Was there a big surprise that you that happened in the wild card round for you?
The only surprises that I was kind of in my assessment, I did a poor assessment on what's the name on the Houston Texans. I figured that that since they had those two injuries to their wide receivers and stuff like that, they might have fall off. That that was one, and the other one was the Rams. I noticed that they were sneaking, getting back to being back to the normal playoffs type of self. And I should have paid attention a little bit more to them. To me, those are the two ones that, in my opinion, that was basically threw me off a little bit, and I had to reassess on those teams.
All right.
Ace, what about you?
All the games sucked except for the Houston game. Actually, the Houston game sucked too. The only thing that really surprised me, legitimately, was how close that was how bad they were able to beat them down on Minnesota.
I really like that Tampa game. I thought the Tampa Washington game was really exciting. I definitely enjoyed
Yes, there
that
was
game.
one good game. I take that back. There was one good game, and that was I forgot about it because there was so much bad that overwhelmed it. But I don't want to be negative because Houston's defense. No, seriously, Houston's defense went berserk, and I did not know that they could play that well. Legitimately, I did not think that they were that good.
And I fault myself for that because I watched that defense do some amazing shit against my Lions offense. Back on that I think that was a Monday night game when Jared Goff threw the 5 picks. Like, even at the time when I watched that game, and even when I watched the replay of that game, I said that 3 of those interceptions were not Goff's fault, like receivers running wrong routes and things of that nature. But the Texans defense gave the Lions probably their most difficult the Lions offense their most difficult test throughout the course of the season, more than any defense that I saw them play over the course of the year. Any other time that they had poor offensive performances, it was mostly because of their own mistakes or ineptitude. It wasn't because of a defense that was just like flying around the ball and just looked damn near unstoppable. And so I didn't take that into consideration when I was looking at this game. I think I lean just more on the Chargers side of things because I had what we had seen from Harbaugh and that group and their defense, and I just didn't factor that in. But
Recency bias. We were all focused on the past 6 weeks as opposed to the first 12 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and then also to Anthony's point, just about C.J. Stroud and the offense and what we saw from them in terms of their injury situation. And I'll be the first to admit I completely forgot Joe Mixon was a thing, and he was a thing on that night.
I drafted him for a reason. He is nice, and I knew he was nice, and I knew that it would take a while for the Bengals to figure out how to replace him. Dude could run. The rest of their offense was not working, right? Yeah. But the fact that they got through that game so muddled, and with the defense stepping up, and they know that they have to play at that level to win, and they saw how they dominated, I feel really good about Houston going into that game against Kansas City. Speaking of that.
Yeah.
That is going to be the first game that we talk about because that is the Saturday 4:30 game on ABC. 10-7 Texans at the 15-2 Chiefs. Malik, the Texans are getting 8.5 points. The over-under is 41.5. Who do you got?
So I say all of that. I talked all of that stuff about Houston's defense and how impressive they were, and now I'm gonna pick against them, and give them 8.5 points, and I don't like it at all. I really don't like it at all. Kansas City is it seems like, especially late in the season, Kansas City was clicking on a lot of things offensively, and it seemed like, and Anthony had made this point like most of the season, that it seemed like Kansas City was kind of trying out things or testing out things, or trying to using the regular season as an extended kind of tryout for some of their stuff, and then towards the end of the season when they got a couple of tough opponents, tough games, you saw that offense start to come alive in different ways. And then they got 20 some odd days off. So anybody
I
that
think
was
that's too
banged up,
much.
anybody that was banged up, any injuries that they might have had, they were able to get healthy. But then somebody, I think it was Kyle Long on CBS, was mentioning about, when you have a break that long, or even any kind of a break, honestly, especially in the playoffs, when you're not even sure who your opponent's going to be until the week before, until a few days before the actual game you're going to play, you spend a lot of time focusing on yourself. You spend a lot of time looking at your own tape and focusing on the things that you've done wrong and, getting healthier. And so Andy Reid's, historically great coming out of buys. He's historically great coming out of, in these divisional games. Patrick Mahomes has not lost a divisional game. They're at home. There's just so many things checking the boxes in the Chiefs' favor. So I don't know how many locks we're doing, but I'm really tempted to lock this one in at Chiefs minus 8.5, and I think I'm probably going to do that. I'll take the Chiefs, and I'll take the under in this game.
You can do as many locks as you like. Ant, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. Not only that just everything that Malik said, you can add in that they still also have their magical fairies on the side that wear stripes, as far as for the Chiefs is concerned, and quite like Malik was basically saying earlier, you can't give them too much time. Giving them a week off to actually rebuild, they can actually rebuild and design their whole offensive game plan. They might come out a different way altogether. That's kind of scary right there. So I'm going to take the Chiefs right there, and I'm going to actually go with I'm going to take the under in this one because how they've been going up throughout the hottest year as well. I understand the reason why Malik picked that. That's definitely a good choice on that one. And I'm not going to make this. Yeah, might as well call all these all locks right now this week. There's no real reason to say one that's not a lock or whatever. There's only 4 games.
That's fair. That makes sense. I think the divisional round is the best round of the NFL playoffs. Some people go with championship weekend. I like the divisional round. Usually better games, in my opinion, more competitive. I'm taking the Texans. Their defense showed up and showed out last week. They shut down a team that we thought was going to beat them. They stopped the run and they stopped the pass. They gave up some garbage yards to Lad McConkey, who had people are going to look at that and go, "Oh, that was crazy." They didn't get a rushing touchdown. Not one person on the team ran for more than 28 yards in the game. Hassan Haskins had the longest run of the game. That was 5 yards. 5 yards. Lad McConkey caught 9 of 14 for 197, except 86 of that was a touchdown pass. The rest of that was accumulated through a bunch of dinking and dunking down the field. So there was one guy that they couldn't contain. You know who's not fast anymore? DeAndre Hopkins. So what you're telling me is they have to not let Hollywood Brown beat them. I think they can do that. I think they can keep the game within a touchdown. And I'm betting on the offense and I'm betting on the pass rush because the Chiefs have had tackle problems all year. And I don't think moving your star guard to tackle is going to be able to solve all the problems when you have 2 of the best pass rushers in the AFC coming in. So I am locking in Houston, Texas.
I can understand why you picked them as well because Houston is actually this is a really hard pick. This is definitely a really hard pick.
It's not to me because there's just too many damn points. Like I get it, you're confident. Houston doesn't play in cold weather, and it's going to be cold in Kansas City. It's not going to be like -10 cold when they played Miami last year, but like it's going to be 25 degrees.
I don't think the cold part is. The cold part is not going to be a factor because it's been cold here in Texas for the past 2 weeks or whatever. We actually feeling it, so they definitely got acclimated to the cold weather already. That's what I said. Like I said earlier, this game is going to be a hard one to pick. But anyway, I digress.
Next up, we got the Houston. We have Washington, and we have Detroit at 8 o'clock on NBC.
Yeah.
You guys got the prime time game. Malik, I'm gonna let you go first since this is your squad. Tell us who you taking.
Yeah, so this is what's the line on this again? I think it's 9.5 now. Last time I checked, I believe it was at
My
9.5.
bad. Yeah, it's 9.5. It's minus 9.5. They don't have any
Yeah,
faith in the Commanders after going on the road and winning the game.
yeah,
So 12 team against a 15-win team.
yeah. This line started out at 8.5 on Sunday, immediately following the game that they won. And then it's trended up to 8 to 9.5, which means that the sharp money is still coming in on the Lions. Um, I think this is just, to me, I've said this for 2 years now. The biggest problem that the Lions defense has is mobile quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that can exploit and hurt you by stepping up into the pocket and running the football. They can hurt the Lions, and they can, force the Lions defense to do things that they don't want to do, which is play a little bit more zone, be a little bit more reactive to what the offense is doing, and be less aggressive than Aaron Glenn and the defense likes to be. I'm not really going to talk about the Lions offense because we know what the Lions offense can do. I think the Lions offense is definitely capable of scoring 30 plus points against this Washington defense. I didn't see much in that game against Tampa that like gave me pause to think that they can really make anything happen, against the Lions offense. I think they'll be able to score at will. So really the question here is, I believe the Lions will win the game. Do I think Washington can cover? And that Jaden Daniels can cover? I don't. I don't. I think this is the game that, at the very least, because of some of the deficiencies that I see on the Washington, especially on the Washington offensive line, I think opening up those holes I think Lions are going to be pretty good against Brian Robinson in that running game, and Austin Eckler. But the main thing where I think that the Lions secondary will be able to have some success against the receivers of Washington. See, they don't run a lot of the crossers and the short yardage stuff that really impacts man defenses. They still run a lot of things up the seams and up the sidelines, and that bodes well for the Lions defensively because they're not chasing across. Unless they change up their offensive scheme and Cliff Kingsbury decides to do something that I didn't see him do, in the 3 or 4 times that I watched Washington play this year. I think the Lions defense can come away with at least one turnover and give an extra offensive possession to our offense, and then from there, I think we can pretty much take advantage of them because of the multiple ways in which we can score. So I'm going to take the Lions. I'm going to lock them in. I do think it's a very interesting game, and I think that this game is very, very close in the first half. I think the second half is where the Lions pull away and win it by at least 12 points. So I'll take the Lions, and I believe the
The
over-under.
over-under is 55.5.
Yeah,
One of the highest over-unders I've ever seen for a game.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards the under just because of how high it is, because I think that the Lions will get to 30, but I think that the Commanders will probably get somewhere around like 24. So I would say like 35-24. I mean, that's still 59, right? So yeah, so maybe it's the over.
And who are you gonna go with here?
I'm gonna.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, but I agree with Malik. I'm going to have to go with the over with the Lions, whatever. I believe this Washington team is going to push them to the limits on this. But there's a reason why both of their coaches or both of their offensive and defensive coordinators, I should say, are the hottest coaches that is out right now as far as this team's concerned, because this team is one team that nobody wants to face right now. So I'm going to take the Lions, take it over, call it a day.
All right. I thought you were going to talk a little bit more.
Nah.
I think the Lions are going to win. but I don't see them blowing them out because of what Malik said about them having issues with mobile quarterbacks and them having to play so many close games. I don't think their defense is going to play down, but I think Jaden Daniels is going to be able to avoid the rush enough that I think the Lions are going to win. But that 9.5 is what really is making me like a bit nervous, which means they have to get a 10-point win. So any win by single digits, any win by them trying to kick it down to a field goal, and then the Lions just kneeling it out for like the last 4.5 minutes, winning by 9 points or somehow 8 points, I can easily see happening. So I expect the Lions to win, and I expect this to be actually a very high scoring game. So on that, I am going to lock in and take Washington cover. Backdoor cover here by Washington and the over. If Washington doesn't cover, it's going to be a very low scoring game, very one-sided. But if Washington covers, this game is going to be super high scoring. That's my opinion. Next up, we're talking about the Sunday 3:00 game. That's on NBC. Well, the Lions got Tom Brady, who's doing a terrible job at calling football games. Rams, Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6.
I just want to enter something on that. I just remembered on that. The Tom Brady is covering that Lions game. It's kind of weird because Tom Brady also is part owner of the Raiders, and the Raiders, of course, have Ben Johnson on top of their list. They should be excluding Tom Brady from even being near anybody from Detroit. But anyway,
well, they probably prevented him from interviewing him then. They probably prevented him from, because he has. That's one thing that they have a bunch of restrictions on him now that he's taken over with that ownership of the Raiders. So, like, he can't interview certain people during the the pregame, because like when they meet with all of the players and the coaches and stuff like that, the people from the broadcast.
Right, they usually meet them like a day or two before.
Yeah, Brady can't be a part of those conversations. I don't know if that matters now because the Raiders wouldn't technically be playing them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a potential opponent for the Raiders, so maybe that.
To me, it does because he could easily be a part of the what's the name, coaching interview. And was like, yeah, you know what, I like this guy. Whatever, let's call it a day. Whatever.
I don't think Ben Johnson. I don't think Tom Brady needs more information than he already has on his coaching search to make a decision if Ben Johnson is it. So
and what you need to worry about is whether or not Woody Johnson's sons think Ben Johnson's a good enough coach.
Look, until there's actually really
they're going to be running that team one day.
Until that bullshit ass article is actually proven, I'm not even quite acknowledging it.
It is proven. Diana Rossini is the source.
No, I don't give a. I do not give a fuck. I do not trust that lady because the thing is that every time there's nothing to quite talk about, also she comes out of nowhere with some BS story.
BS.
I still think it's Aaron Glenn. I think
Aaron Glenn should go there. I think they need a defensive head coach, considering how good the defense is and how young the defense is. They need a leader on the defensive side.
Oh, I like the Aaron Glenn because not only he was a former Jets coach, he's also had that what's the name, that he had that press conference where he said, quite, I want them to hire me as a coach, not because that just happens to be on the defensive side. I'm not even on one side or the other. I'm a coach. That was the number one thing that got me there. Want him.
The thing about Aaron Glenn, and you'll like this. The Jets defense fits almost perfectly his philosophy, his philosophy and the way he likes to call defense. Press man, a lot of press man getting pressure up the middle, and those linebackers staying home and being able to defend sideline to sideline. So with a
you know why that is, Malik?
What do you mean?
The zone is for cowards.
Well, again, that's how he coaches and that's how he plays. And so if you've got, Sauce, and I can't remember the other corner's name, the other guy, he's really good.
DJ Reed.
Yeah, you got Sauce and Reed on the outsides. They can play that press. They can play that press up. You've got Quinnen Williams up the middle. You've got Quincy Williams, the linebacker, being able to float from side to side. There's not much that the Jets defense would need to change in order to be an Aaron Glenn style team. And then we'll see what happens with the offense. I definitely think that Aaron Glenn's the choice there. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, I'm praying he's a choice. He's my number one pick.
I think I think they will go with him, and I think Ben Johnson, unfortunately, does not end up becoming the Chicago Bears head coach. I think he ends up going out to Vegas to get into a different division. So I don't think he wants to face his former team immediately, honestly. And I think the Raiders are willing to overpay together more than any other team. And the Bears are notoriously cheap when it comes to paying coaches. Historically, that's just been my opinion. But and did you make a pick on the game though? More importantly, Rams Eagles.
You didn't introduce the game.
You didn't preview Rams Eagles.
I did. I said Rams Eagles. Eagles are hosting the Rams.
Did I cut you
Brown
off?
will be reading his inspirational book. You did cut me off. Thank you for acknowledging that. It's fine. Rams Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 6 points. The over/under is 44 even, which is odd. That is on NBC. The earlier game I was talking about is on Fox. Who do you got? And
I'm going to go with the Rams on this one day. The experience team. This, like I said, I had to do some soul searching, some reevaluation of these teams. Yes, the Eagles have the one of the finalists, in my opinion, of MVP and Saquon Barkley. They have a definitely good completed team, but I'm going to go by the Rams' experience. It seems like they've also been getting better and better as far as they've been going deeper into this, and something that people keep saying all the time that I keep ignoring. You can't discount a Sean Vay built team. So I'm gonna go with the Rams, and I'm taking this is gonna be the over for me. Lock it in.
That's what I was waiting for. I was giving you a chance to do that.
They're all locks this week. I mean, it's only 4 games.
They're all locks. That's true. There's only 4 games. You can't play around. Now we got 15 games. All right. Malik, I'm going to go first. I know this Eagles team well. My older brother is a big Eagles fan because of Randall Cunningham. And
he's going to give you a noogie at the family table if you don't pick the Eagles.
No. The Eagles are going to win. You know why the Eagles are going to win? They have a better offensive line. They have a better defensive line. And they have a better running back. And it's not that Kyron Williams isn't good. Man scored 16 touchdowns. The Eagles are just better. They're just a better team. They're more talented. Their fans hate their coach, which is why I hate their fans, because they should be nicer to that guy because he's literally the best coach in the history of the team in terms of win percentage. He's won them more games in his first 4 years than any other coach in history, including Andy Reid.
He's also a jerk.
He got, you don't got to like him, but how is he a jerk? What did he do? What did he do to you? All he did was win games. Now you mad at him. The Eagles are going to beat them because they're better in the trenches. Point blank, period. It's not that LA is bad. They're just not as good as the Eagles are. And that's really what it is. So
another reason why LA is to win?
Why?
Oh, sorry to cut you
off. Unless
off.
Jalen Hurts really throws a bunch of picks and plays bad and freezes out AJ Brown on some personal level type stuff, I don't see how the Eagles lose this game. And if they win this game, I expect them to win it by a touchdown. Saquon is that nice. What quip were you trying to get in there? What you trying to say?
No, I was just sorry to interrupt once again. The thing that LA has more than the Eagles, they have an inspirational story. Usually, those inspirational stories actually lift teams to actually play a little bit better. The inspirational stories to do, to win for LA.
I hear you on that. I hear you. I don't even know if they've been able to practice this week. I do know some of the winds died down, so that's good for LA. And I'm praying for those people, but I don't think that's going to help the team play harder.
I know it sounds like BS, but usually those type of stories, things behind things, for some reason uplift teams. And I see that happen a lot. But anyway, sorry to cut you off. Got to put some little extra hot sauce on these things.
Ain't no hot sauce needed. It's hot enough. Malik, who you got?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I just want to confirm. And you believe that the Rams will win, or you just think they'll cover the number?
No, I think they're going to win.
Right. So you're picking the Rams to straight up win this game, and Ace, you're picking the Eagles to win and cover. I lean towards a Rams cover, not a Rams win. I'm with you, Ace, on all of the points that you made about the talent disparity between these two teams. Eagles get the check mark on offensive line, defensive line, even though I do think that the Rams defensive line is a very good defensive line and has shown and what they did against Minnesota last week was not a fluke. I've seen them do those things against other teams over the course of the season. And Jared Verse may very well be the defensive rookie of the year this year. But I do think that the Eagles have a better defensive line. They have a better offensive line. The last time these two teams played, everybody's been talking about it, was the big 255-yard rushing game by Saquon Barkley. He had over 300 yards all purpose, and that was in LA. And, Philly, walked away with that one easily. I don't think that happens this time, because I think that Sean McVay is smart enough to know that Saquon is the engine of this team. And if you want to keep this game close, and to a point where Matt Stafford can pull a rabbit out of his hat at the end of the game, you have to contain Saquon Barkley. Because not for nothing, Green Bay could have won that game last week. I thought they played fantastic defensively.
What?
They could have won that game.
If they were a different team.
I think they played fantastic defensively. Saquon didn't he got like maybe 2 or 3 carries against him that were really good, but other than that, he was pretty much bottled up. AJ Brown didn't catch anything. And I mean, this was a Green Bay team that was playing without Jair Alexander. They were playing without a lot of their guys on that side of the ball. If not for Jordan Love's interceptions and like how poorly they played off on offense, Green Bay was in that game, even late.
Aside from their ability to not be able to score points, they would have won.
Philly's defense played really, really well, but Jordan Love made a lot of mistakes that I don't believe that Matt Stafford is going to make.
That's fair.
In that at that volume. Like I said, it wasn't that
you're not gonna mess up every drive. Yeah,
it wasn't that it was the one pick. He threw 4 of them things, and he threw them like they were bad, right? So it was like it just snowballed on him, in a way that I just don't think that Matt Stafford is going to allow to happen to him and his team, knowing how important each possession is going to be against a Philly offense that's as potent as they are.
The joints wasn't close. That's fair.
So
he looked as bad as sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
He looked as bad as Herbert out there.
Yeah.
Which was crazy to me. He went from Jordan Love to Jordan like.
Like seriously. So just because of the experience, because I just believe that the offensive combination of McVay, Stafford, Kupp, Nakua, Williams, they're good enough to keep that game close. And I don't think that Philly is explosive enough through the passing game to really like take advantage of the fact that I'm pretty sure that the Rams are going to sell out to stop Saquon Barkley and leave a lot of things open on the back end that Jalen Hurts could hit, but he may not hit all of them. So that's why I think the Rams cover. I like the Rams to cover this number. 6.5 feels, about just enough. I think this is like a 28-22 type of game. And the Eagles win, but just barely to cover the number. So I'm gonna take the Rams. And what's the over under in this one? Was that 40, 41, 48, something like that?
It's pretty low. Yeah, it's 44.
Yeah, I'll take the under. I'll take I'll take the under. I think this game stays relatively close because it kind of has to in order for the Rams to cover it.
If the Eagles win, I think it'll probably likely be a low-scoring game. I'm thinking 24-10, something like that. People will say it's a bad game, but I think the Eagles are just going to control the line of scrimmage and, run the clock. That's my
Agreed.
All right.
Okay.
No, I know. I had to take a little break there, but I'm going to edit this part out. Or maybe not. I don't know. You can hear the kids in the background, folks. If you don't know, I got a newborn, so I got priorities I got to take care of before I give you all this information. The Ravens and the Bills for the right to take down the Chiefs unless the Houston Texans pull off a miracle, which would be amazing. Baltimore's a road favorite in a divisional round game. The last time the 2 seed lost a divisional round game was the last time the Bills lost a divisional game. This game is going to be -3 degrees and snowy. And I think that favors the Ravens. And since I am an honorary Ravens fan here, or a real Ravens fan, since day one, I'd like to point out, flocked up, Ravens flocked.
Right.
So I'm picking them and Lamar Jackson to win. I think we, as a culture, need Lamar to win. Things have been going one way too long, and we need Lamar to pull this off for us. So I'm pulling for the Ravens, and I'm pulling for Lamar and Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry to get 200 yards rushing in this one.
Yeah, so I don't think Lamar needs your Bears culture. But anyway, I'm going to go with
Ravens as a lock.
I'm going to go with the Ravens
as a lock.
Because I don't like the Bills. I'm just going to go that way. So
people who hearing me,
people who are hearing me right now and just thinking about betting and thinking about betting or I'm betting, you just know this is the one game I'm going on passion. I hate the Bills to death and I want them to lose. So let them lose and lose in fashion. I want the Ravens and the over and I want them to beat the mess out of them. But anyway, I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm going to take the under as far as realistic is concerned, since this is going to be a what type of game, snowy type of game.
Isn't that crazy that the over-under is still 51? Like, that's nuts, right?
Yeah, that's
cool. That number seems off, considering the weather, too.
Snowing during the game, or is it just snow? Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was dry. Like
the game is at 6:30 p.m. The game's at 6:30 p.m. They're getting lake effect snow this weekend, and it's just these are the two best quarterbacks we've seen, and now this game's going to be affected by weather. The low is going to be 8 degrees. It's not going to be 8 degrees when the game kicks off, but the high is 21. So sunsets at 5, hour and a half later. Yeah. They're going to be playing 14-degree weather at best. So in 14 degrees, maybe it can't snow. It's too cold. Yeah, so maybe it'll be very, very cold.
Yeah. In the long run, though, I think the Ravens are the better team as far as for offense is concerned. Not only you got Lamar, you got quite Derrick Henry, you got their tight end, you got it's so many factors on this one. Quite John there's only so far that Josh
Allen. Some respect on his name, Mark Andrews. You know his name. You drafted him.
No. Yes, the thing is that the reason why I took away respect because what he did to me in fantasy, also he's letting this likely guy gets the ball and stuff like that. It's kind of get me upset there. But anyway,
got some connections. That's how I won. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. Give me the under in this one. Let's move on. Go Ravens. Unlike Ace, I'm only cheering for the only reason I'm cheering for them is because I want them to beat the Bills.
Since '96, and they drafted Jonathan Ogden. Go ahead, Malik.
Yeah, okay, Ace.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Be honest with yourself.
I'm gonna go the other way, guys. Look,
that's okay.
Boo this man, boo. Okay.
Listen, you want to take the 1 point? I get it.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a small line, right? It's such a it's a pick 'em, right? It really is a pick 'em here. It's such a small line that, in all honesty, this game, the way that this is being picked, the way that it's being discussed, this game will likely come down to a special teams play, a
13 seconds,
a field goal kick at the end, something where it's a 1 possession game with 2.5 minutes left, and somebody, either Lamar or Josh Allen, have the ball and need to drive the team down. That's what you expect based on everything that's happening with this line. And just because I feel like, the ball will end up in Josh's hands at the end of this game is why I believe that he'll be able to pull this out and win this game and send the Bills to Arrowhead for the AFC Championship game. I think Lamar's going to have a fantastic game. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a decent game. I think that the Bills have definitely shown me, that they're not they're not a bunch of pushovers on the defensive side of the ball. They're very young, but they're not, they're not like non-talented. I think the Ravens have tons of talent. They're a very good team, and if this was even if this was played on a neutral field, it would be, I would pick the Ravens under normal conditions, but
this is a bowl game.
I picked the Bills under the conditions that trend towards them. I think this game to me can play very, very similar to that San Francisco game, where San Francisco was in it, and then until they just got uncomfortable and the elements took over, and that was it. This is the coldest game Lamar Jackson is going to play in his career. I just learned, which is something that really is really interesting, that the Bills Stadium, Highmark Stadium, does not, like, unlike a lot of outdoor stadiums, especially in cold weather cities, Highmark Stadium does not have a system underneath the turf to keep the field from icing over.
That is correct.
Hard and frozen.
They couldn't afford to put that in the 70s.
Yeah,
or renovate the field in the 50 years since.
Yeah, so like this is one of the reasons why they're getting this new field, which is gonna like negate all of that because they're gonna be in a dome and stuff. But anyway,
Malik, they could have put a grid under the field if they wanted to. The owner's being cheap. The man's worth $5 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Terry, get the money up.
So all those things considered, man, I just feel like this is gonna be a really good game, back and forth. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring because I think both teams are going to look to run the football and control the game from that standpoint. But I think at the very end, it'll come down to Josh Allen with the ball in his hands and an opportunity to get a late kick, and that'll be the finishing touches on that game. I want to see Lamar get to the AFC Championship game and get revenge against Patrick Mahomes and that squad, and I want to see
that would be sweet, wouldn't it?
I want to see the Ravens with Derrick Henry, like with the new weapon that he has. I want to see that. I just feel like I wish this game was in Baltimore and not in Buffalo, and that's the only reason why I'm saying I think Buffalo has an edge. They're going to keep it close and they'll win a tight one at the end. That's why I'm leaning Bills, but I'll take the under as well.
Nate, if you're listening in California or wherever you may be living, I'm not rooting against your Bills. I'm really just more rooting for Lamar Jackson. And for everybody else who's in LA, we are praying for you and hoping those winds die down so the helicopters can come in and put out some of that fire. And I hope everybody got a chance to check out Bill Burr last night when he was on Jimmy Kimmel. That was hilarious. We was talking about all those fire experts on Twitter who were showing such expertise talking about the fires. How does a city right near the ocean not have enough water to put out a fire? I don't know how that works. You people are morons, and you need to keep your thoughts to yourself. And if you're listening to this show, go the opposite of every one of my bets so that you lose money. That's what I have to say to you guys who are making those comments. Go Ravens. And on that note, we are going to get into our shout-outs. Ants, you have any shout-outs this week?
Yeah, before I start my shout out, I would like to say as a parody to what you just said there, Toledo, if you're listening, yes, I did definitely pick the Ravens because I hate your Bills. But anyway, as far as sorry about that.
Petty is real. The petty is real.
Petty's real. I only have two shout outs this week, and they are obviously Jets related. I'm gonna start something else beyond Jets related next year. But my first shout out is quite really towards Aaron Glenn. The only reason I'm shouting out to him is because he turned out the Patriots BS quite job interview, because we all knew that it was going to get Vrabel, and he didn't want to participate in the token interview BS, and of course he's loyal to the Jets as well. So shout outs to him on that one, and shout outs to the Jets team that actually went to the last time they went to the playoffs. Unfortunately, today's date, where we're recording this for Thursday, January 16th, was the last time the Jets won 14 years ago. Quite a playoff game when they beat the New England Patriots to win to the next week, wound up losing against Pittsburgh, who winds up playing against the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl and wound up losing to Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay Packers then. I know they're going, well, if it was my Jets that was there, they would have won the Super Bowl if they actually did not put all the emotions into playing against the Patriots and, went the next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers dead flat. That was to me, that was one of the best runs I've seen in a long time. You don't see things like that anymore. Mark Sanchez literally had to face against first Peyton Manning, then Tom Brady, then Ben Roethlisberger. If you would have pulled off the hat trick, that would have been awesome. And then going against Aaron Rodgers at the end, that would have been the ultimate way to win the Super Bowl right there, to go through all those greats of that time. But unfortunately, they fell short. But shout outs to that team, though, because for some strange reason, maybe it's the ownership, the Jets for some reason, can't get back into the playoffs.
It's just the crappy quarterbacks you've had since then. Shout out. I should pay back for cutting me off all show. That's what that was. Shout out to my Knicks for pulling out the overtime victory, even though y'all were kind of scaring me last night against Philly. I picked y'all to win, and you did. So thank you for covering. I appreciate that. Needed that little bit of extra bread. Take care of these kids here. And just shout out to football. God bless it. And shout out to college football with Ohio State and Notre Dame taking over college football for the North. SEC, I don't see none of y'all there, so I don't know what to say. Get your game up. Start paying the right players, I guess. Y'all need to get your lives together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing it well. And Zion, hopefully they can trade you to Memphis, and then you and Ja can team up and take over the league and go win a title and shut down all these old dudes. Take out Golden State, take out LA, take out Phoenix on the way to the finals where you can lose to the Knicks. That is what I want for y'all this year. Get to the finals and lose to the Knicks. And Cleveland, it's been a good regular season for y'all. But we know once we get Mitch back, it's over for Jared Allen, right? He ain't going to be averaging that in the playoffs going up against Mitch. He's an undersized center, and he is not an all-star, so stop it. Evan Mobley does deserve to be an all-star, and everybody who has not voted for the NBA All-Star game, go on there and vote every single day. Get your NBA ID, go get the NBA app, vote as much as you possibly can, and vote Zion into the All-Star game, just to be petty. Even though there's allegedly rules against it, because the year he got voted in, he only played 15 games, and that's why they passed the 65-game rule. It had nothing to do with Joel Embiid and all these other players. It had to do with teams resting guys who were hurt because they wanted the stars to play as much as possible, and they wanted to allegedly punish them from doing things like that. Put them in the All-Star game. If you really want to get on the right side of everybody, go and try and get into the slam dunk contest. It's going to finally be somewhere kind of warm, kind of nice, San Francisco. So I hope to see Zion there in the slam dunk contest. And that is it for me. I'm
out. I just have 3 real quick ones. One, shout out to Ace. You mentioned him in your shout outs, but I'm going to shout out Ja Morant for climbing Mount Wembenyama last night. And
that was nasty, wasn't it?
The dunk of the night, the dunk of the season, probably. It didn't even count, but damn it, we still showed it, or they still showed it everywhere on ESPN, Fox, everywhere, because that was incredible. And thank God that Ja Morant decided to go back to dunking and not laying the ball up.
That was actually heard around all San Antonio. Just to let you know, since I live here,
that was ridiculous. Now I don't think Wembanyama fully jumped.
It was beautiful.
I don't think Wembanyama fully jumped.
He's 7'5". Who cares?
It doesn't matter. Exactly, it doesn't matter.
He could have been on his tippy toes. You got dunked on, son.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Come harder, come harder, come home, Wembanyama. This ain't France, brother. That's what John's telling them. I thought it was interesting. Somebody mentioned, whether or not he would do that. Ja would do that to Shaq, or if he would have done it to Shaq or Olajuwon back in the day. And the answer to that question was no, because the minute he would have jumped, if it was Olajuwon, like Otis Thorpe would have cleaned him out. Like it wouldn't have been a dunk attempt, because Otis Thorpe would have knocked him down, and Shaq would not have let him get even get any lift off the ground.
Didn't Kevin Johnson sneak that dunk on Elijah Wan in the playoffs?
Right, but this wasn't a sneak. This was literally coming straight down the paint and just rising up and dunking on Wembanyama. That's not happening if you got Otis Thorpe and Kevin Willis and them dudes in there, because they're just gonna mean mug and beat the hell.
He would have got Mourning though. Yeah. He would have got Mourning.
Oh yeah, because nobody liked Alonzo Mourning. They left him out on the island to get dunked on all the time. Shout out to Josh Allen and the ref that came on the sideline and was like talking to him and apologized to him for, I guess, missing a call.
That's funny.
Or something. Like, shout out to you, man, because if you're not the MVP, that's MVP shit right there. That's MVP shit. The referee came off the field during the game to come over to you and apologize for messing up. If you are not the MVP for that alone,
he'll be reffing the Kansas City game this week. If you
seriously, like, yeah, exactly. That guy shouldn't even be reffing anything that's just connected to Josh Allen. We need to have an investigation on what the hell's going on with that situation. He came onto the sideline, which nobody ever does, and apologized and patted Josh Allen on the back. If there was any collusion, if there was any idea about collusion between players and teams and referees, I know Anthony's been talking about KC all year, but that shit right there looked mad fishy, son. Shout out to you for being able to,
real suspect.
G that situation out. And last but not least, shout out to the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings for being as fugazi and as fake as I said that you were the entire season, as y'all were winning 11 and 14 games respectively. And I said both of you, I said Green Bay I said Jordan Love was gonna make mistakes because that's what he does in big moments in big situations, because he trusts his damn arm too much, and he won't just check the ball down, and he'll always try to fit the ball in the tight holes and tight spaces, and he's not Aaron Rodgers. And Sam Darnold was going to burst under the pressure of trying to win in the playoffs, and those things happened. And I hate it for Justin Jefferson, my LSU guy, love him to death. But as long as you're wearing that purple, I'm sorry, you got to keep losing. And you're going to win 14 games. You might win 15 games next year with J.J. McCarthy. And the same thing is going to happen because y'all stink. Scold you out. Go get back on the motherfucker. Get back on your damn boats and go back to wherever you came from. Scold this, boys. You losers. I don't care how many games you win in the regular season. You're just going to be losers in the playoffs. It's going to continue to happen. And yes, I'm salty because as a Lions fan, I was pissed off for 18 weeks watching y'all win games and continue to make it more difficult for us to win our damn division. But you made things really, 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 really rough. And then week 18, we put the smack down on your candy asses, and then you went to LA, and then you went to LA, and you went to LA, you went to Phoenix, and all your fans were there. There were all these Minnesota fans there. There was more Minnesota fans there than Rams fans. I could tell it in the stands, and they were all happy, and they were all talking all kinds of trash. And Matt Stafford, a Detroit Lion for life, motherfucker, took y'all out and took y'all down. I am happy. The world, everything came full circle for me. I am happy. So shout out to y'all two franchises. Better luck next year. I'm out.
Oh, I'd like to shout out Ace too for coining the new term that Ace coined earlier. What's the name? Jordan Like. Shout out to you,
Jordan Like.
That was awesome.
I haven't heard that anywhere, but I can't imagine I'm the only person who came up with that because that was real easy.
Jordan
He
Like.
is now Jordan Like. He is now Jordan Like. Yeah. And R.I.P. Bob Uecker. Even more.
Oh yeah.
What were you gonna say? No, R.I.P. Bob Uecker. Man was 90 years old. He lived a good life. That's all.
No,
Just a bit outside. And we are done.
Peace.